So I just came back from a Psychedelic Science conference in Denver, and we had a booth there. Lots of people came, and we got lots of questions. And what I realized is, the world is wrong about ayahuasca. There's so many people that came to us, and they said things that are obviously not true. So in this video, I want to talk to you about myths about ayahuasca. The biggest misconception about ayahuasca, and people were coming to our booth and over again, they would say, yeah, I'm really curious about ayahuasca, but it's just too scary. It's just too tough. It's this thing that is only for the toughest of the toughest, and it's just unbearably torturous. And that's the worldview of like 50% of people that know about ayahuasca. I don't know where it was created and why it was created. I do believe that the reason this misconception is so alive is because of overdosing. Overdosing people on ayahuasca, giving people way too much ayahuasca. Proper ayahuasca use and doing it traditionally requires time. You need to drink a little bit and then a little more and build a connection. And very often ayahuasca will not give you a very psychedelic and very visual experience at your first ceremony. This is why here at LaWayra we always recommend first-timers to come to a 1-week 4-ceremony retreat. In most cases, people working with ayahuasca, they just go somewhere, drive there for the weekend, drop off their car, come to the place, take their cup. Because the shamans or medicine givers keep seeing that people complain they don't feel anything, they give them more and more, to the point that if they do manage to connect immediately, they have this extremely deep, unproductive overdose experience. So this is the biggest misconception. If you do ayahuasca right, if you're actually careful with the dosing, if you do the preparation properly, it's not that scary. It can be scary, don't get me wrong. Ayahuasca experience can be very intense. However, if you're in a safe place, if you feel safe, for example here, you arrive and for the first 24 hours there is no ayahuasca. There's just a lot of talking, a lot of workshops, getting to know the place, getting to know the team, and getting comfortable. Because another factor in this sort of overwhelming experience is, if you start to get the psychedelic experience and if your ego starts to dissolve and you feel unsafe, there's this clash between ayahuasca and between your ego, and guess what? Ayahuasca always wins. It beats you up into submission, and it results in that sort of overwhelming and negative experience. So, debunking that first myth, I say come to the place where you can do it slowly, you can do it gradually, and then you get to the sort of nicer side of ayahuasca. The myth number 2 is that ayahuasca is only for rich people. And this event that we went to, a psychedelic conference, there were a couple other ayahuasca retreats, and the next retreat, price-wise to us, was 5-6 times more expensive. I understand why this misconception was formed. Most of the popular retreats are just very, very expensive. Here at LaWayra, we're actually very affordable. At the moment, our 1-week retreat is about $1,000, and it includes food and accommodation and even a pickup from the nearby city. And of course, it includes ayahuasca. However, don't let it fool you. Being affordable doesn't mean we're bad. We got people coming to us from all sorts of fancy $10,000, $20,000 retreats, and they had a great experience here. So you can absolutely have an ayahuasca experience you can afford. Given how life-changing it can be, this is money well spent. Another misconception is that every time you drink ayahuasca, you will have a psychedelic experience. You will see visions, that ayahuasca is just another psychedelic. Ayahuasca is a psychedelic for sure, but it is very different. So I've had more than 100 ceremonies myself, and I've never ever had the same experience twice. And even though I've had experiences where I've seen visions, and I've had experiences that had no visions but still were very valuable, ayahuasca is not about visions. As some shamans like to say, if you want to see pretty pictures, go to the cinema. You go to the cinema, you pay for your ticket, and you see pretty pictures. Or take other psychedelics like mushrooms that guarantee you certain outcome, and you can sort of predict what's going to happen. With ayahuasca, it's more about just visions, it's more about just your experience, it's more about the result. There will be, I've had situations where people only felt things in their body, but it forever changed their life, and lots of healing came from it. So when you choose to work with ayahuasca, keep your mind open and be open to different kinds of experiences. Another misconception that really bugs me is that ayahuasca is this magic pill, silver bullet. You take a cup and it fixes you forever and ever, and your ancestors and your children. That's not how it works. Ayahuasca is an amazing tool, and it opens all kinds of doors for healing. It's a great catalyst for your healing, but ayahuasca also requires a lot of work. So a lot of times you will come to the retreat, you'll have beautiful, profound experiences, get a lot of knowledge and a lot of information from it, and you'll also get homework. Then you go back home, you integrate, you do the homework, and your life improves. I've met people that have done hundreds of ceremonies, not here with us, because here we really push for integration, but in other places, and they are still the same. So it's not a competition about how much ayahuasca you're going to drink. It's more about how much you can actually change your life when you go back home. Another misconception that I see often is that people think that ayahuasca is only for spiritual people, that you have to have spiritual practice, you have to meditate and have a copper cup and linen pants and all the shebang and crystals and stuff like that. If you look at me, myself, for example, I am an engineer by trade. I come from a very non-religious background, and even though I am a spiritual person now through ayahuasca, it doesn't mean I have to speak a certain jargon or hold space for you or anything like that. Ayahuasca is for everyone, or to be more precise, ayahuasca is almost for everyone. So there are cases, certain cases, where if you have schizophrenia or you have a family history of mental illness or you're taking antidepressants, maybe it's not right for you unless you have certain preparation. So there can be certain things still done. But ayahuasca is for a majority of people. So Joe the carpenter, Teddy the policeman, everyone can come and have an ayahuasca experience. You don't need to be spiritual. You don't need to be anything. Ayahuasca is a thing on itself. You don't need to be religious. If you are religious, it's okay. It doesn't matter what religion you follow. Ayahuasca will get you closer to that version of God. So ayahuasca healing is for everyone. I've seen all kinds of professions here, and we have hosted more than 2,000 people having great life-changing experiences. Also, people believe that ayahuasca is just illegal. Ayahuasca is illegal in the US. It is illegal in most parts of Europe. However, there are parts of the world where ayahuasca is surprisingly legal, and one of them is Colombia. This is where we're located, and here, if you have an indigenous shaman that has a permit from his indigenous community, you can work with ayahuasca legally. It's not a free-for-all. You don't go to the market and buy yourself a bottle. You actually need a person with proper paperwork, and that's what we can provide you. Also, the benefit of working with the medicine in the country where it's coming from is because you can get traditional shamans that come from lineages whose parents were shamans, and like this for many, many generations. They grow and cook their own medicine, so it's a really, really authentic experience. Also, people say that ayahuasca is just outright dangerous, it's deadly, and you just shouldn't do it, and people are so afraid of it. I mean, as I told you, once again, I've done it many times. My family drank it, and I've seen thousands of people drink tens of thousands of cups, and nobody has died. Ayahuasca is a very powerful tool. It is very strong, so you have to be careful. You need to know how to use it. Analogy I like to use, if you have a hammer, you can build a house or a boat, or you can break somebody's skull in. Is it the fault of the hammer, or is it a fault of a hand that's holding it? So it's really important to know how to work with it properly, and that's something that we can provide you with here at LaWayra. Another thing that came up often is this limitless fear of purging. People in the US especially, they're just so afraid of vomiting. And I understand why. It's not pleasant. I remember myself first hearing about ayahuasca. I was like, you go to the jungle and you drink this drug and then you vomit? Like, what, are you crazy? You pay money for it? Like, there's no way I would ever do it. However, now after sitting in so many ceremonies and seeing what they can do for you, number one, vomiting on ayahuasca is not just vomiting as if you're sick or something. It's not this nasty side effect of ayahuasca. It's actually an important part of the healing process. Somehow, through purging, both vomiting and diarrhea, you take somatic stuff like trauma stored in your body, you take it out of your body, and then you purge it out. And this is a magical process, and not only gonna learn how to purge like a pro. You will learn how to enjoy it, and you will actually miss the purge. You'll find yourself in the ceremony waiting for the purge to happen, because normally after you purge, this is where the fun starts. Other misconception is that people think that you drink ayahuasca and you just go crazy and you start running around and you bite people or whatever. So surprisingly enough, 99% of the time you will be able to control yourself, and you'll be able to stand up, go to the bathroom, and you'll be just fine. And if you focus, you'll be able to have your process. And the 1% that you're not controlling yourself, which can happen, we have a beautiful, loving team to take good care of you and make sure you are all right. And we've done it over and over again. Some other people, especially religious people, they're really, really afraid that ayahuasca is just this other religion, and by drinking ayahuasca, they cheat on their God and they're going to be forever condemned for eternity in hell. So ayahuasca is not a religion. If a God is internet, ayahuasca is a computer. It's just an interface. It's just another way for you to connect to your own version of God. If you have it. If you don't have your version of God, you can, whatever you believe in, ayahuasca doesn't care. We have people that were Sikhs, we have people that were Hasidic Jews, we had a bunch of Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, and they all connect to God better. Ayahuasca is not a religion. You don't need to have certain religious affiliation here at the retreat. We're not going to talk to you about religion or about spirituality. The only place you're going to learn from is ayahuasca itself. That brings me to the next misconception. People think ayahuasca retreats are those cults where people come and get enrolled. Can be further away from the truth. So the difference between an ayahuasca retreat and a cult is that in a cult they tell you what to believe in. Here at LaWayra, we tell you nothing. We tell you how to navigate your experience, give you practical advice, and then you tell us in the word circle, what was your experience like? What did you see? What did you learn? What did you understand? And because of this reverse flow of information, there can be no indoctrination. We're very aware of the suggestible state, and we never will feed you any information that will take you to a certain direction. Another misconception is that ayahuasca is just this thing that you can do from your backyard. That's honestly very, very dangerous. Bringing me back to that analogy of the Hummer, but in that case you kind of kick your own skull in. Please don't do it. Ayahuasca is very powerful and it needs to be done in a certain setting. So find a reputable provider or somebody that can support you through your psychedelic journey. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you like it, give us a like, subscribe. Nothing is medical advice. We're just a plant medicine retreat following a shamanic tradition, so we're not doctors. If you're having any health issues, go find a doctor. See you in the next one.